and I live there. So, no.
You're not gonna let me speak?
No. That's it. Then everybody gets a second chance.
Thank you. Out of order. Out of order.
Okay, your request was for us to take a look at the bylaws. Your request was for us to take a look at the bylaws, we did.
Right, you asked me to look at it. Out of order. Out of order.
Did you find it? If you find it and tell me, then I can look at it. What item is it?
Concern resident of Sereno, concern. First of all, what? Oh, that's your park, I don't know. Wherever that is. Where bound to go.
You know, I am, you know what, let me, okay, no.
Okay, can I take a point of order here, since it's on the officer?
You know what, Mr. Marquez, I would gladly give you 2 minutes if it was on the topic that we're talking about, which would be the agenda setting. You're talking about reconsideration of a motion. Reconsideration of something that.
It's a petition that was set forth, okay? If you look at your bylaws, it refers to the action taken by this board. This board hasn't taken any action on this item.
Okay, we appreciate your comments, thank you.
But I'm not done with it. You're not allowing me to finish.
I need to finish as well. I would like 5 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe 10.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Is there any more public comment?
So, if anybody wants to speak, I'll be glad to write their name down and the item that they want to speak.
Sir, I think I put my petition over.
Your last name?
Martinez?
That's for public comment.
Yeah, okay, so.
This is, yeah, that'll be item 9.
All right, there's 2 motions on the floor. We need to have some discussion here. We're just going to start with Mr. Manzano.
Thank you. I've seen that a lot of the frustration that the neighbors are giving tonight, and basically a lot of you guys are making your decisions on emotions. I think it's great. I heard one stakeholder say in the back that he's not sure with all the rules. We don't know all the rules either, but we like to follow them really, really closely, so pay attention. Right now, just like another stakeholder mentioned, this exact issue is being heard in committee level. So to bypass that step would be something that could get us in big trouble, because it's already on an agenda on the land use committee. So for us to bypass that, there'll be grievances filed. Second, the stakeholders do have a right to file, it's called an initiative. You know what? I'm probably the one who supported that most strongly, because before, the board was all about us. That was years ago, like you heard the comment say about the previous president putting 666 on the code to the computer. We had a really bad board before. But nowadays, we're trying to listen to you guys with what we're doing. But if we take action and follow you guys on motion, it's gonna put us in trouble. The third thing is, when that was submitted, I heard the chair read the motion, and I'm not trying to be too technical about it, but if you're following the bylaws, that motion has more than 50 words, so we can't accept it. So there's 3 things already that I mentioned that say why we shouldn't move forward. If we do move forward, it's gonna put us into some trouble. Now, I'm not trying to favor with Mr. Best, Matt Marquez over here, but many people don't know him. You just think he's another neighbor, and he said, I'm a neighbor too, I wanna talk. I'm a neighbor too, I wanna talk. He's a committee member. He deserves the respect from the chair, and you saw that she didn't respect him. He's not the committee chair, but he's a committee member. He's here to investigate. He's doing the homework. It's on the agenda for his committee to review it. So maybe not all of you know that. You say, hey, sit down, sit down, sit down. But he's the guy who you guys should be saying, you know, I want to hear what the committee's gonna say, because it's already on the committee agenda. So for us to bypass that again, we're gonna be in big trouble.
I want to just make sure that Mr. Manzano is not legal counsel for this board, or legal counsel for this executive board. You know, you cannot be giving legal advice about how we're gonna get sued or grievances.
I don't think it's legal advice. The bylaw says it has to be less than 50 words. If you're reading it's more than 50, we automatically don't accept it.
At least.
Read it.
She said at least.
Okay,
50
so-
words or less.
I
Mr. Gonzalez, would you like to hold a conversation with the community member or with the board here? And in
Can I
terms
make a point of
of,
order to the presiding officer, please? I think a key responsibility of a presiding officer is to construct a objective dialogue and meeting. I believe you're out of order in terms of attacking Mr. McDonald. I believe it's your responsibility to be an objective facilitator here, okay? And we don't need any personal attacks, we need dialogue, and we need objective dialogue,
okay.
okay? So, make that clear.
So, Mr. Johnson, since you are all about process and about, objective discussion, how would you like to proceed on this matter?
I'm going to bring up 3 points here. Courtesy, objectivity, and ethics.
I'm not talking about those
Okay,
things,
well, I
I'm
have the
talking
floor,
about the motions.
you asked me a question, and now I have a chance, just like Mr. Mendoza had a chance to apply here. So accord me to courtesy, okay? Courtesy here is that everybody in this room is stakeholder. First rule should be, we treat all stakeholders with courtesy, okay? Mr. Benega, Mr. Marquez are stakeholders in this community, okay? And the fact is that we're shouting people down and we're interrupting people. Let's establish some ground rules here that courtesy should be the first thing. Everybody here is a human being, and we need to extend an open hand. You may disagree with them at the end of the day, but they're a human being, okay? Objectivity. For the sake of objectivity,
Okay, hold on. I'm
Okay.
sorry, but you're trying to flip me off, and that's not acceptable.
He's just.
Why are you reading
We're not on the council. We're not on the council. We're not on the council.
You cannot record us.
anybody let's just point out that anybody's allowed to take recording pictures in a meeting, okay? So, but let's get back here to my second part, which is objectivity. It is true that this process was started in the Land Use Committee, which has a continuing agenda. And for the record, I have the speaker card from that meeting here, and I'll give them over to the chair of the Land Use Committee. That agenda is still ongoing, okay? And so the process has started, and for whatever reason, the process then was taken away from the committee and then moved to the decision by the chair to call a special meeting, okay? And the special meeting, from what I understand, did not have a quorum. Okay? Ethics here is that during the meeting, from what I understand, is that I received an email that from an article from Eastsider LA that basically said that the project was going to encompass apartments, okay, a charter school and a cafe. Now, ethically, if I'm going to be part of a quote-unquote jury to make an informed, objective decision, then in that situation, the jury's objectivity was contaminated by an article that's questionable with its veracity. The best thing we could do here, people, right now is take a deep breath. Let's get the emotion out. And you have a planning committee meeting coming up downtown next week. And that's where your voices, your energy should be centered right now. Okay? Anything that comes here in terms of emotion, and from what I'm seeing here, I would have to question whether to file a grievance based upon the circumstances that were ongoing and whether the board was going to make an objective decision based upon the meeting that took place, that was supposedly going to take place last week, but did not have quorum. And there's also, from what I understand from people who were at that meeting, there were issues about the legality of the conduct of that meeting. Okay? So here, the best thing to do, in my opinion, would be to wait for the outcome of the planning meeting and then let the committee work the process. If we have to, we should bring in a mediator to mediate between committee members and the developer, okay? But at this point, I would have to question whether objectivity would have been forthcoming from that special meeting that was called last week based upon an erroneous article with questionable facts that was submitted to board members before that meeting.
Okay, thank you. And just a reminder that the executive board, that the board the president, the chairperson, the presiding officer can call a special meeting on any items, even those who are in committee. So for those of you who don't know that, I think Val, you know that. The people that the chairperson has the ability.
Let her speak, keep talking to me.
Sir.
You directed that
Rick,
person.
This is not,
You want to bring it
discussion.
forward. So one of the things that I'm saying is that the president, the presiding officer, has the right to move an item forward in whichever way he or she sees it fit. There's no rule that says, this only has to get stuck in committee, this only has to go to board. So that's what, if you don't understand neighborhood council rules, then you need to read the bylaws and you need to make the questions to the power lay. They're very clear as to what has to happen, regardless of what people here feel. That's the way that we have been advised that anyone who brings an item on initiative, we can put it on the board. The president has the ability to move an item out of committee and bring it to the full board.
She can't make an agenda.
Presiding officer, if I could have the floor real quick.
My name is Tammy.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Okay. First of all, there is some ambiguity, there's some gray area there in the bylaws. Yes, the bylaws state that the presiding, the president, and the majority of the board can call a special meeting. Then, we go back to responsibilities of the president. The president can make an agenda with the assistance and the approval of the executive committee. Now, on the first part, okay, yes, the president can call a meeting. But the second part, where was the consultation between the president and the members of the executive committee in helping to scope that agenda? There is a gray area there that needs to be vetted here, okay, to make sure that we were legally being able to hold a special meeting. Maybe there might be some standing rules in the future or a change in the bylaws to clearly state whether the president, yes, has the power to call a special meeting. But also, once you call a special meeting, who is the party that helps put together that agenda? What we're trading on here is some gray areas here that can have some major legal consequences. May. I'm not a lawyer, okay? But may have legal consequences on this body. And if we go forward with something and then later on we face some repercussions, then I think it's better to err on the side of caution and to use the established protocols of going to a committee and then working its way through the executive committee and the general board. Once again, the bylaws state that the president, just like we're doing tonight, before we're done, we will have to approve this agenda that we're working on for the upcoming meeting.
Call for the question.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. You have, no? Mr. Manzanos?
I'd like to follow up real quick on what Mr. Johnson's mentioning. Like I mentioned when I first spoke on this same exact issue. I was the former president, and I have the same book that I held when I was the president of the Neighborhood Council, Robert's Rules of Order. I've been on the Neighborhood Council for 3 years. I would hope and expect that the same board would follow these rules. And inside the rules, you might see them highlighted right here. This is under the title of the president. At this moment, the chair, but meaning the person who's conducting the meeting. And it says ensuring fairness and impartiality. That's in big bold letters. I'm going to pass everyone the book if they want to read it. Just don't take it because I need it. Number 1, in a business meeting, the president cannot make motions or enter into debate. Why? Because it's not a dictatorship. It's not about the chair or the president. They're supposed to hear the motions coming from the board or the committee. This is a committee. What we should do is take the referendum, which was submitted, or the initiative, place it on the agenda, and then once it's heard at the general board meeting, the president would realize that we're not following orders, and then you go back to the previous thing, presiding duties of the officer, is number 1, keep order. Number 2, be fair and impartial. And number 3, protect the rights of its members and stakeholders. That's what we're violating right now. Because the rules say that the chair or the president cannot make motions or enter to debate. That's what Mr. Johnson was referring to at the last meeting that you guys, I guess, attended, which was Thursday. The agenda was not introduced properly. Second is with only today's information, You're seeing violations of the same rule tonight, because the chair, once again, is giving their position, whether in favor or opposed. We're supposed to take the input from the community. What I would do is absolutely, like the president would do, is take the referendum. You can't ignore it unless it's not valid. I'm not trying to be technical about it, but the only thing that I found is not valid is it has over 50 words. The bylaw says it has to have 50 words or less. I could overlook that. But once it goes to the general board, the president should understand that once again, it's in committee level, and the board should not take an action until there's a recommendation made to us.
You know the spirit of the community already.
That's different. I'm trying to follow the process.
Let me just, for the board's
Trying to follow
sake,
the process.
for the board's sake, I just wanted to
But
put
you
it
didn't
out
follow the
on
process
special
when you
meetings.
approved that letter.
The president or a majority, the president or a majority of the board shall be allowed to call a special board meeting as needed. Time and place to be determined by members involved. The date and time and place of this meeting shall be advertised as extensively as possible to the LA 32 neighborhood council area. So that is on our bylaws, on our current bylaws.
That's correct.
So I think we have had enough discussion here, unless there's other discussion that needs to happen. There's two motions on the floor.
May I make another comment? I haven't commented on this item.
We still have public comment?
That's it.
I think we were done.
No, we're discussing the agenda items, the two motions.
All right, so,
Sorry. Can I ask can we amend that motion so it's less than 50 words? That's why I'm asking if I can make a public comment, because I haven't made a public comment
I
on
don't
this
think
item.
that we already developed a public comment on this. Thank you. So we have two motions on the floor that compel us to put them on the general board. So we're gonna move forward to put it on the general board, and then,
Madam,
yeah.
Pam, can we have a advisory vote on this issue? For the record, I would like a roll call vote on this issue.
Well, we are compelled to put this on the general board, Mr. Johnson, so I don't know how we can take, we can take a vote.
This, I would like a vote for the record,
Sure.
a roll call vote.
Okay, for the record.
Because there is the roll call to follow, and if I'm correct, Connie Castro has to abstain from this
Right.
issue, okay?
Right.
She abstained from the issue or from being the chair of this issue?
For now.
From chairing?
For this issue.
Okay, Anthony Manzano, yes or no on the motions?
The way the motions have been submitted, physically submitted, and the way they have them, I haven't read it, but if it's more than 50 words, I would have to decline accepting them until the stakeholders can submit it properly according to our bylaws. Which is, it's really easy. I heard a stakeholder say that they may amend it, they could scratch it out right now. But if there's more than 50 words, I would have to say no, cannot accept it. Okay.
And the executive board amended themselves?
It's not up to us, it's up to the
No,
board.
we're gonna do it right now.
I like to follow the initiative.
Thank you.
I know, it's real close.
Tammy Membreno, yes or no on the motions?
Excuse me, according to our bylaws, the chair cannot take a position or enter into that discussion on the item. I just read it.
I can take a position to put it on the board.
I'll read it again. The position of the chair. Go ahead, read it. Highlight it.
How many meetings have you chaired and voted?
None. I abstain.
We have you on record.
I abstain.
No.
It says in business meetings, the president cannot make motions or enter into debate.
That's the president.
The person who's conducting the
She didn't make a motion,
cannot.
she voted, she's not making a motion.
Okay.
The motion's
Sorry.
brought up by the
Okay,
stakeholders.
sorry, number 2 down here. The president does not vote because it's to break a tie or vote to create a tie. So the president does not vote, cannot, will not, shall not, whatever words you want to use, unless it is to break a tie or to create a tie.
Or created.
Or create a tie.
Okay. Edward Santillan?
Yes.
And I, for the record, will be voting no. So for the record, the tally would be 2, 1, and 2 abstentions.
Right, but we're going to also put it on the board, so on the agenda. So as soon as the recommendation comes back over here, we will go ahead and put it on the general board agenda for next week.
It's regarding the amending, would that hurt if they already signed everything already?
You gotta do something that's already been signed.
We'll get it again.
You gotta, every single.
Show me the bylaws, 50 words or less.
She has it.
It's on it?
She's the community chair, she has it, right? It says- Thank you.
It's on purpose, it's just 3 times, it is.
You know, for the record, the vote's been taken to be taking items that are amended after a vote to be very budgeable and also open to grievance, for the record.
Thank you.
Verá, file grievance, verá. File grievance against no minutes, no agenda, no application, definitely grievance, you know what I mean?
Okay, Tammy, any more item 5? Unless we have any other issues, I recommend we move on to item 6. I believe our meeting time is 8 o'clock that we kept ourselves at tonight, the agenda, so we would have to vote to extend this meeting after 8 p.m.
Yeah, I think.
The former president? Yes.
Excuse me, you know, you're talking about respecting it. Video is being taken. I have children, and I can't. My children cannot be unless I approve of their video being taken. So unless you're getting yourselves open to a lawsuit, whoever's taking the video, I mean, I don't know. I have children. You could take care. You could take video. You're videotaping us. You're videotaping us. Over there.
Can you recite the open meeting rule regarding videotaping?
And my kids go to school, and I have to send them.
Excuse me.
Will someone explain?
Okay.
You got to say council, not us.
Yeah, Tammy, reiterate that,
I have
please.
children.
I'm sorry, the Brown Act calls for a public meeting. They, any kind of media, any kind of documentation, minutes, or whatever that people want to do, they can do in public meetings.
For children as well.
For children as well. Anyone who's at the meeting, unfortunately. I mean, maybe I should not speak on the children, but I
Yes,
know that
please
it's a public
don't.
meeting. Yeah.
Because I know for children, anywhere else, you have to sign a release. So, and I have not signed any type of release. I have my permission for my children to be videotaped at any moment.
I won't be putting it on YouTube, don't worry.
Doesn't matter.
So how am I supposed to know? Am I supposed to know that?
Can we get some work back here real quick and move on to the agenda, please? Thank you.
Yeah, so the item 5 motions we will put on the agenda. We're gonna move to item 6. Connie, you can take that.
Okay, so, item number 6 on the agenda is review of proposed resolution action item brought forth by executive committee members. Yeah, go ahead and start with Mr. Johnson. Do you have anything?
I have 6. I'm gonna read them one by one, and then I have them on disc, so I would give the disc. I have them I don't have them in writing for the rest of us, but I have them on a computer screen here, okay? If we had an office with a Xerox machine, I would do that.
You can go to your councilman's office, you'll be glad to help.
Did you give it?
You know, Danny, I don't need to be, you know, maybe a loyalty number 3 on the constituency loyalty list, we could
I
have
thought
that
we were supposed to have a decorum here, but
too. Well, Madam Chair, you know, excuse me?
Okay, let's move forward on your item. I didn't get them, so I don't.
No, I have them here because I'm working on these today. He told me to bring them to the meeting. So that's what he said.
Okay,
For your email. Okay, motion number 1. A reaffirmation of LA 32 Neighborhood Council policy that all resolution action items and motions must have formal and approved minutes signed by at least 2 committee members submitted to the recording secretary no later than the next month's normally scheduled executive committee meeting. Okay? Number 2, motion that the LA 32 Neighborhood Council post a disclaimer on the LA 32 NC website stating that news stories or events posted on its webpage are not endorsed or supported by the LA 32 Neighborhood Council unless otherwise noted. Motion number 3, that members of an LA 32 Neighborhood Council Standing Committee be allowed to call for a special meeting in absence of the committee chairperson with the concurrence of the 2 committee directors and 1 stakeholder committee member.
Wait, read that one.
That members of a LA 32 Neighborhood Council Standing Committee be allowed to call for a special meeting in absence of the committee chairperson with the concurrence of 2 committee directors and 1 stakeholder committee member. Okay, motion. A reaffirmation of LA 32 Neighborhood Council.
Mr. Johnson, on that one, you cannot make a motion that will change the bylaws. The bylaws already state something to that effect, so no, that one is.
Well, that's what we need to have a clarification of that then. Okay? Motion, a reaffirmation of LA 32 Neighborhood Council policy that any sponsorship of community meetings or events must be voted and approved by the full LA 32 Council NC General Board. 5, that the LA 32 Council Neighborhood President, in accordance with calling for a special meeting, have the support of a 2/3 majority of executive committee members.
You can't do that, it's against the bylaws.
Well, it's a gray area.
It's not, I've already spoken to the council.
All right, well, I mean, just.
You can file that one directly to Dunn, and then they can give you a response.
All right, well, let me read my last one. That the LA 32 Neighborhood Council President Connie Casper recused herself from all affairs to the LA 32 NC Land Use and Development Committee pending resolution of current legal issues. Okay?
So, that one, it all depends on council and Dunn, so they're the only one that can recuse. So, because they're actually investigating the legal issues. So I'll let them decide since they're legal counsel.
Okay, well,
The other 2 are already on the bylaws, so you cannot change. I know, Empower LA and the city attorney have both given me guidance on that, so you cannot change the bylaws.
okay, well,
You
then,
can move forward and send it to them and then give your response. But
Okay.
you know, those aren't acceptable.
Good question.
And I'll go ahead and read you why. Specifically on the special meetings, it says the majority of the board shall be allowed to call a special meeting.
so that stand for committees.
It says a majority of the board, so the president or a majority of the board.
That will be 11 out of 21.
Or 3 out of 5 if it's a
You
standing
cannot
committee.
change, you can't change the bylaws unless you go to the bylaw motion and you actually incorporate it into your bylaws. But because these are the bylaws or the bylaws, so we can't change.
Okay, so we could look at on that one, but if I may, can I can I go ahead and, on minutes, can we start on number 1 and see if we can put that on
Okay,
there?
number 1, I really like that idea. Can you reread
Okay.
it?
Reread it again, and then we could probably open up the schedule part.
Yes.
A reaffirmation of LA32 NC policy that all resolutions, action items, and motions must have formal approved minutes signed by at least 2 committee members submitted to the recording secretary no later than the next month's normally scheduled executive committee meeting.
Otherwise, they won't, I mean, can we amend to add that they won't be placed on the agenda if we do not have that information?
Well, what I'm saying is, and I've heard this from both sides here on this issue, because sometimes trying to have a committee meeting and then approve minutes 2 times in a month,
Draft minutes at least.
they can have draft, okay?
I have a question, Madam
Unless you
Chair.
get it.
So in this motion, what we want to have is to make
Ladies and
sure,
gentlemen, if I can have your attention, please, sorry.
yes, what we want to have is all of the committees submit minutes, approved minutes, and agendas and documentation prior to what meeting?
Actually, yes, we were, last board, we got into a process, Mr. McDonald will remember this, it's that when people were coming up to the general board meeting, they were presenting documentation. Their committee agenda, their committee minutes, okay, and then there was, then the item would move forward. A lot of the issues that are being brought up here in regards to, like, for example, the items handed in tonight are based upon documentation. My thought process is here to reaffirm policy so that there is no question in the future, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, of a board revisiting issues that this board has worked on this evening, or any issue, any committee. And I think it's important to uphold the public trust and make sure that we're being due diligent and making sure that documentation is being archived and approved in a timely manner.
I agree, and it actually should be included electronically at our website. Each committee has their own webpage, and those documents should be available for the public to review on a monthly basis. So I'd like you to add, if we can have all past meetings, at least with this